Hi, this is Jody Fouch, DEKALB and Agro-Technical Agronomist in Eastern Missouri. I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about a new product that you may not have seen, DKC5982. 5982 is a newer product that was in our plots for the first time in 2019. Not only did it have a great year in Missouri MD plots, but it had a phenomenal year across the Corn Belt in all of the DEKALB plots, and for that reason was in high demand last fall. 5982 is one of those products that's probably going to start taking some acres away from some of our key established older products like 6088 and 5835. For that reason, I've jokingly named it the Patrick Mahomes of the DEKALB lineup, as it's an up-and-coming rising star in our lineup. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk in a little more detail about 5982 and give you a little bit of a feel for how to position it. As you look at this chart, you can see why I'm excited about 5982. It's one of those products that's very consistent and stable across different environments. For those of you that remember 6298, it's a similar type of product that can handle a lot of different yield environments and a lot of different agronomic challenges. A few things that probably ought to call out is one is in 2018 in the breeder trials, 5982, according to the breeders, had the best drought tolerance in their breeder plots in 2018. Which, as you all know, was a tough year in many places. As you can see from the field placement chart, we're pretty comfortable with 5982 going across multiple soil types, from highly managed to productive upland, all the way down through marginal upland and poorly drained. You notice that corn on corn is still a good rating, but in a corn on corn situation, we would like you to manage the residue. The last thing I'll mention is the fact that 5982 last year had really nice response to a Delaro fungicide application. Now, granted, it was one site year because 5982 was new last year, but as you can see, it had a 16 bushel advantage over the plot average in its response to Delaro fungicide. So it is definitely a product that has nice response to Delaro fungicide. As I mentioned earlier, DKC 5982 will work well in a lot of different soil types. As you look at this map, you can see the varying soil types across the state of Missouri, all the way from those poorly drained Mexico Putnam soils in the east to those really productive Sharpsburg soils in northwest Missouri. What's nice about 5982 is it'll work across the gamut of soil types. A couple things you might notice as you walk through a typical cornfield in northeast Missouri. Either one, like we see here, these flat or timber soils with low organic matter, or you might see some heavier clay-based soils with very poor drainage. Both of these situations, 5982 is going to handle a little bit better than some of our key products we have currently, specifically 6088. You'll also notice these situations in these fields where water will stand, like you see here, and cause nitrogen loss or other issues. This is also a situation that 5982 can handle very well. As I mentioned earlier, 5982 can grow across multiple soil types in Missouri. That also means it can go across multiple yield environments. Here you can see a little bit of a demonstration about the flexibility that 5982 has across multiple yield environments, ranging all the way from the mid-100s out to well above 200 bushels per acre. As I mentioned before, one of the products that 5982 will probably start taking acres away from is DKC 6088. Here in this plot, you can see 6088 starting to show a little bit of foliar disease, what appears to be southern rust. One of the ways to identify southern rust is to backlight the disease and look for the yellow halo around the disease. As you look here at the foliar disease starting to show up on 6088, you can go right across the road to DKC 5982 and see some very clean leaves. This is one of the distinct advantages 5982 has over 6088, especially in regards to southern rust. As you move later into the season, you can see how the southern rust gets more aggressive on 6088 than 5982. One of the pleasant surprises last year in 2019 was the stay green of 5982. Here you can see it compared to 5835, one of our key disease shield products that has outstanding stay green, and 5982 hung right in there compared to 5835. Here you can see the late season stock quality and push test scores of 5982. It's not as good as 5835, which is to be expected considering the disease shield component of 5835, but it does come in a little bit better than 6088.
And then last but not least, the last thing I look for with respect to these tighter clay soils in Missouri is good resistance to Fusarium crown rot. And I'll show you this plant that I dug here of 5982 out of this plot. Crown rot is a disease that comes in, it enters in through the root systems and basically rots the lower part of the plant, which is also known as the crown. And that prohibits nutrients and water from getting into the plant and causes all kinds of problems later in the year. And what's really nice about DKC5982 rib is it has really nice tolerance and resistance to Fusarium crown rot, so it handles that situation well. So when you think about products that handle clay-based soils in northern Missouri, one product you probably ought to keep in mind is DKC5982, and if you give it a shot, I think you'll be happy with it.